Wonderful to have you all in for the session 3. Today's session is going to be really very interesting, and there'll be a lot of takeaway for this in the sense that it will help you to really drive value in whatever role you are. That's key. In whatever present role you are, the best part it is just not that you're going to carry concepts, theory, but you can actually go apply it in your organization in whatever role you are, and you can start showing Vilma mentioned about two things when she was introducing the session 3 topic: efficiency, contribution. Okay. If you know, all of you, your bosses would always say, hey, we want you to be efficient, effective, etc. And then contribute to business value, contribute to business results. So these are some things which you learn today. How are you going to really contribute in quantitative ways, not just in qualitative? We all do it qualitatively and we know, oh, we've done very well. We've actually driven our employee engagement initiative very well. But how are you going to really prove? How are you going to quantitatively say that I've contributed to the business impact? I've contributed to the business results. All right. Having said that, if you recall, we started the program saying that, hey, in order for the HR BPs to be adding value to business results, driving business impact, you got to be a strategic partner. Okay. Now, it is not that only strategic partner, whatever you're doing, administrative role, change management role, a credible advisor role, and you got to be a strategic partner. It is not that you stop doing things and only strategic partner. No, it's all this, but then the focus is more with reference to strategic partner. Now, we also learned about what should we be doing to be a strategic partner. But then, how are you going to quantify? What are those things you're going to measure when you're doing your role that makes you a strategic partner? So today we'll be learning about the strategic metrics, what can be quantified, and how can you actually show a direct linkage between these metrics and the business impact. Okay, so some of the things you will be learning between today's session and tomorrow's session, very important. We talked about HR value chain. We'll learn more about what is this HR value chain. Okay, HR, you do a lot of things: learning and development, training, compensation, performance. Now, how are you going to drive value and what is this value chain? So we'll link it up. Okay. We'll also learn about what are those strategic HR metrics and what are those KPIs. What are KPIs? Key performance indicators. Okay. Then we'll learn about how do you implement them. What is an HR scorecard? All these things. So we'll also learn about, typically in terms of when you say measurement, when you say you are measuring certain metrics, what is the output you get typically? Data, right? You get data. So what do I do with data? I will analyze the data. So we'll also look at, how do you do analytics in terms of, there is again a value chain: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive. We'll all look into this. What is descriptive? What is diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive? And how can we use it in organizations? How can we use it in my role? Okay. And how can I become really very, very impactful? Okay. Now, having said that, first of all, let us understand what are the strategic HR metrics. Can anybody just give me an indication of what would you actually, any metric you want to tell me? A strategic HR metric? What is a metric? Metric is a, somebody was saying, what is a metric?
Metric is a unit of measure.
Yeah, absolutely. Unit of measure. Say, for example, I want to measure employee engagement. What would be the measure to quantify the employee engagement? What would it be? I'm sure a lot of you are doing engagement initiatives. What would be the measure? Employee engagement index, right? That would be my measure. Okay. The same thing. So we're talking about strategic HR metrics. So when we talk about metrics, what are the various areas you can measure and which are very, very critical to drive business impact? Culture. Is culture very important? Why do you think culture is important? Anybody, please.
Ma'am, if the culture is not good, it becomes very contagious. Uh, it
Okay.
will impact productivity, the morale of employees, and it usually we go downward. In terms of
Okay. Okay. How
everything.
do you see culture in your own organization? Don't think about the culture in your organization and tell me how do you see the culture in the sense uh, how do you actually give it a label? Good culture, bad culture. How do so in your organization? Think about your organization and tell me, what is the kind of a culture you have.
Ma'am, for me, what is rewarded, what is celebrated, that is culture. Uh,
So
if
in your organization, what would you say? Well, how would you I mean, if you were to talk about the culture of your organization, what would you say?
To me, it stands in terms of the behavior more than the policies. I think it is more around built around the collaboration, respect, inclusion, and making decision, being supportive to teams. I think that's what the culture and the
Okay.
communication.
Okay, good. Okay. Say, for example, I say I'm representing Google. Why I'm taking this example of Google is because everybody knows generally. So in Google, I'll give you a very, very strong, stable. It says, hey, in Google, we have a very creative, innovative culture. Okay, everybody knows that innovation and creativity. How? What is that supports that culture then? I may say something, right? My value is innovation, creativity. Then how does or what does it do to support that culture? What do they do in terms of, what the employees work? 30% they can work on their own, on entrepreneurship, what we call it as. They give space for doing creativity work. They give space for innovation. So when I say, hey, my organization supports innovation, creativity, like I want people with this kind of innovation, creativity, I have to support that culture. Only then you are able to live that culture. Okay. Now I'll give you another. I will say in my organization, we are very employee centric. I put it there, when a new incumbent comes, value systems, and we write, we are very employee centric culture. Then when I say that, what should the organization be doing to support?
Taking strategic initiatives like in
That?
terms of employee engagement action points.
Okay, so that should reflect in their policies, which are very
Yes.
employee centric. It should reflect in their benefits, very employee centric. It should reflect in their performance management. That means they're supporting people, managing their performance. It should also reflect in what growth. When you say employee centric, what does it mean? Learning and development, managing performance, growing. career growth, right?
Yeah.
So, but just by writing there, I'm an employee-centric culture, you don't become employee-centric.
Mm.
Got it? You are also supporting, if you say, we are a diverse and inclusive culture, then what will you think the organization will do to live that culture? I said what? Diverse and inclusive culture.
So the inclusivity, that kind of a policy we should have. We should hire diverse employees in order to
Diverse
have
means
the
male,
diversity.
female,
Yeah.
LGBTQ, whatever. You should have a
Yeah.
policy, and then inclusiveness, including people in policy decisions, participative culture. Got it?
Correct. Yeah.
When I say I'm, in today's time, high performance culture, what does it mean?
High performance. Is it based on that meritocracy is awarded
Lot of
in?
organizations today, it is very high performance culture.
Yeah,
So, if,
meritocracy is
yeah.
awarded.
So, if you want high performance culture, not only that's an outcome, right? So, what are the lead indicators you are doing? Are you supporting high performance by having right incentive schemes? So that if I'm a very high performer, I'm also rewarded. I can also work very hard. I can stretch myself. Uh, so when organizations want to drive high performance, their compensation system, their incentive systems, their variable pay systems, all have to be aligned with it so that I can get the best from the people. Are you with me now? Now,
Yes.
in order to do this, now I said, how will I know? I can do surveys. What will be your metric? I can do culture surveys to ensure to know. How will I know? So I need to have a measure, right?
Mhm.
So what will be my KPI? Say, for example, if I want employee centric, so I'll be doing employee satisfaction surveys, and I will create KPI will be my index. As opposed to then I will start saying, hey, as opposed to what I did last year before last year, I will look at patterns. Am I doing better? Okay, I can have indexes in terms of whatever I'm doing. So constantly, unless and until you measure, the saying goes, what is measured gets done. What is not, you may say anything. If I say high performance culture and keep quiet about it and don't measure it, then will it be done? I want quality people, but I don't ensure that these are the quality metrics or these are the quality measures I want, the criteria. Then will it be measured? I can't measure. I'll only do quantity. Finished. Got it? Very clear, guys? Okay. Culture. So, likewise, if you are saying leadership, can you have a metric? Yes. In terms of leadership, you can have both lead metrics and lag metrics. Lag is the outcome. That means through leadership training program, how many of my lower people have become leaders. So what is the effectiveness? What is the business impact? So you can actually measure a lot of things. All right. Okay. So that's how we are talking about. In traditional metrics, you only look at what numbers, number of trainings, number of hires, number of policies created. But if you want to look at a strategic HR metric, strategic means does it actually make business impact? That's important here. Okay. It is not just activity. It is not. So you are shifting from, if you recall, we said shift from activity to impact. Okay. Think about yourself in your role. So how is that you can currently you must be doing a lot of activities. So I'll just take one person, just to bring
Mhm.
that clarity out. So Aarti, just give me one or two things which you do in your role as of today.
Every day or
See, you must be doing certain tasks every day to ensure that certain objectives or goals are fulfilled. You agree? So I would prefer every day. See, I want to link up how it connects to the big picture or business impact. Yeah.
So earlier in this organization, there was no HR. So
Mm,
HR is a new thing in this organization. What I do is I interact with each and every function and make sure that they connect with HR. They understand how HR can support them in terms of, I mean, talent acquisition is something that's our bread and butter, which anyway we were gonna do. But I
mm.
recently had done the need analysis for all function wise, and I'm working on it to do half yearly and annual development plan for them. So that's a new thing that I have just added. So for this organization, it's a new thing. It's a 4 months old department function as per.
So we'll just stay with it. Okay. So if your boss asks, I'm just hypothetical. So if boss asks Aarti, hey Aarti, how are you supporting us? How are you creating value to the business? Supposing you will say, so I'm interacting on a daily basis with all the business leaders and connecting with them, supporting them, huh? And helping them. What will he see? He doesn't see any, there is nothing solid connecting, interacting, supporting. Next, you said, through these discussions and interactions, I'm also looking at development plans, you said, so that they can grow. Again, he doesn't. But if you actually go deeper, okay, deeper, and say, hey, okay, fine, you know, to these, because that's the first thing you have to connect and you have to understand and you have to see what are their, what do they want, what are their development plans, what do they have for career growth, etc., etc. So you can identify, say, for example, one activity which you are doing is identifying training needs. Maybe for lower level, maybe for middle level. It will be different for different levels, right? Lower level, more of operational, and at a higher level, it will be for more leadership. So identifying training needs. This is an activity. How can you then connect it to the business impact? If your people have better, say, for example, top management, you are identifying leadership skills, business acumen. So, by identifying business acumen, which they require on a day to day basis to understand their business, they'll be able to perform better, right? Because tomorrow, after the training program, after 3 months or 6 months, you can look at their performance results in terms of productivities or whatever ratings they have and correlate. Hey, before the program, what was their productivity or performance? And after the training program, what was it? So you have some data to show that, hey, I've done this program. Before the program, they were like this. And after the program, there is an increase in productivity. Now your boss will say, hey, absolutely, I can see that the revenue has increased, right? If you show data before and after, now what does this show? There's a business impact because of your activity. So this activity has been linked to business results and you have created a value. But if you're only continuing to do, say, hey, I've done leadership programs, I've done this every day, I'm doing coaching, I'm doing counseling, but the data does not indicate, or you have not looked at the data, analyzed it, interpreted, then what happens? You are not able to establish yourself. You may be doing really good work, and because of your work, revenue is going up. But are you able to showcase it? So if you showcase it, what happens? Then you also become what? A strategic partner and also a credible activist. That means he starts believing in you, saying that, hey, what you're doing is adding. So I don't mind giving 2 more increments to Aarti so that, she stays in my organization's great value, right? Otherwise, the impression they get is, okay, fine, they will do performance management, they will do training. It's just an activity. But there is no difference. What difference does it make? Got it, guys? So think of whatever you do. Like, for example, KPG. I'm so sorry to call you KPG, though I don't like it. It's like a number. Kalpa. Kalpa. So,
Absolutely fine, no problem.
so she's focusing as an HR business partner. Like every time I talk to her, I recall she's doing a lot of collaboration work. Collaboration is managing stakeholders, looking at them. Okay, and then coaching, consulting. Now, she could look at data and say, hey, because of my coaching, consulting, collaboration, how have my key stakeholders improved in their performance or revenue, whoever the stakeholder was? And before and after, if I show data, then you also will be happy saying, by doing this activity, hey, I've actually, ensured that there is increase in the revenue, or he's been able to meet up the business results. Got it? Okay. We'll take one more example. Suchna, on
Yes,
a
yes, ma'am.
regular basis, what do you do?
So,
Activity.
yeah. So,
One
ma'am,
or two, not more than that. Yeah.
okay. One is recruitment. In case we have any vacancies, we try to fill that position. That is one thing. Second is that resolving all grievances in the plant in case there is any, like from a PF to their interpersonal relationship or any problems like that. This is
Excellent.
something.
We will stick to recruitment and give out this. Okay.
Okay.
This is for everybody. Okay. Let's go to recruitment first. Okay. Suchana is doing recruitment. She could be, recruiting across all levels. All
Yeah.
right. She could be rehiring because of attrition,
Mm-hmm.
or she could be doing new hire because of, you know, a sudden, the projects, because there are new projects coming in, and so there is some kind of a manpower planning happening, and so you're looking at future requirement also. So there are two kinds of recruitment typically: new hire or rehire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, every time you're doing recruitment, you are rehiring, you are new hire, okay, and there is attrition, and what is it, vacancies are not filled. The business says, what is this, you're taking a lot of time, lead time, and even after hiring, then maybe joinees, offers to joinees are not there, or even if joinees have come accepted, they're going through induction, orientation, but again, when they are actually, in the when they are actually sent to the business, they are not up to the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen? There will be so many. So there could be so many measures, right? Right, when you are joining, then after the training, then once they go to the business, and how are they performing. Say, for example, you have measures for all these as KPIs, then what would you do? You will ensure that whenever you hire, you will hire them as per those metrics in terms of what is the criteria. Not just look at quantities, you look at the quality parameters, right?
Correct.
That's one. Now, say, for example, typically that from January to December, there are peaks or spikes, I can say them, during which you have high attrition.
Mm.
You have looked at attrition data for the last 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, and you have seen a trend in terms of, hey, come after annual increments in the month of May, June, there's a huge attrition,
Mm.
right? Or maybe even other times. So you have found out trend analysis, you have seen patterns,
Mm.
which will enable you to then plan better. If you know that, hey, these ones have high attrition, what if you were to know that 10% are going to iterate much before, then won't you actually build up a talent pipeline, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
For example, like I was talking about, if your high performers suddenly goes off, suddenly he attracts, what happens? Business impact, clients, everything gets affected, right? So then
Mm.
you start negotiating with them, saying that please stay on. Will you start, okay, one increment more, two increment more, two times the salary more. How can you keep doing it? But what if you knew that who are your people, the best people who are going to leave, then you are better planned.
Mm.
So, A, if you have measures, and B, if you actually have those tools and techniques where you can predict, then what happens? the business impact, you can show that there is less impact, less losses, or less, you can actually increase your business impact.
Mhm.
Got it, guys? The
Yes.
same with new hires. Let me tell you, many a times you get to know that, hey, these people have accepted the offers. The best of the people sometimes, because they're all doing, what that collecting offers, they don't join. But what if you were to know much before that, hey, these people are not going to join, these people are definitely going to join. You have certain indicators where they will join. Then what if you know that? Then you are able to have a better ratio of offer to no offer to joinee ratio.
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct.
So, with the help of analytics and with the help of right metrics, you are able to create better business impact. Okay.
Mm.
What about grievances? Very interesting grievances. So, you are, when we are saying dousing the fires, okay, there as an HRBP or even in the factory, you have many grievances. You're all the time dealing with the grievances. What if you were to know with the data saying that you can club, say, for example, mode, which are those grievances which have more in frequency? What if I know them? Then probably I can actually plan for them better kind of solutions, right?
Mhm.
So with the 3 or 4 years data, what you can look at, you can look at your data, do a, what is it called, uh, statistics, find out mean, median, mode, and say which is that mode. Mode gives you a typical, which are those problems which are there in the highest common problems, 2 or 3. Then you are able to keep them better.
Mm.
Got it?
Yeah.
And you can reduce your time, right? And
Yes.
people will be very happy. You are actually, what are you doing? Proactively taking measures so that these things don't happen. Got it?
Yes.
You have an indication that with the mode, you know that, hey, these are some of those grievances which can happen often. And you are taking preventive or proactive actions.
Mm.
Okay? Got it?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, so as a strategic partner, I want to link when we do data. This is very important. It's a common word, of course. HR value chain. HR value chain. I want you all to understand because you can do a lot of reading when you go back. We'll break this HR value chain. What is value chain?
One thing precipitates to the other outcome.
Okay, I get. I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. You are saying that value chain is say from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, that kind of a thing, right? Cascading down levels, huh?
Right,
Right?
right.
Value chain. That means with every stage, I don't want to actually, I'll give you a very simple thing. Say a value chain can be like, for example, from milk to curd and curd to paneer and ghee. So value is being created, right? Now, I want to also give you this clarity. Value chain, this word value chain was propounded by Michael Porter. Have you heard of Michael Porter? Guys, you should do. HR person should really read a lot. Okay? Huh?
Mhm.
Go and just look at, see, today at the click of a button, you can know everything. So just check who's Michael. This Michael Porter, he gave us this word value chain. Earlier there was industrial era, not much of competition. We were doing things and we were able to sell them. But as we evolved, what happened? What happened? I told you that VUCA world. What is VUCA world?
Volatile,
Volatile,
ambiguous.
uncertainty, huh? Right? So every organization is in a VUCA world, right? So what happens? You need to create value so that you can create a competitive advantage. Only when you differentiate yourself and create a competitive advantage, you are able to increase your market share. You are able to sell better. Got it? Does it resonate? Value means, huh? So every organization is trying to create a competitive advantage so that they can differentiate themselves. So value chain in business is what? So it typically it looks at all the business activities. What are some of the activities in an organization? What is that organization different functions do to achieve business results? Production, finance, huh? Marketing, supply chain, etc., etc. So, how are these functions operating and how are they creating value chain so that in the end business gets impact? So, when I talk about HR value chain, can you translate this now, anybody? Because today we are talking about HR value chain model. Anybody? Just give it a try. There is no harm.
If you use recruiting, you can
Hmm?
put recruiting I guess like the first one could be like instead of training program conducted, it can say pipeline, and then HR outcome can be, how many interviews came out of the pipeline, like that.
Yeah. But let me give a. Can you see this very clearly? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, I said that when we talk about a value chain, we are saying how do we create a competitive advantage to differentiate ourselves. And why should we do that? Only when you differentiate and create a competitive advantage, you are able to sell better. Because ultimately, every organization want to increase its market share, right? That's the end purpose, no? Increase the market share and increase their profits and revenues. Okay. In order to do that, now I'm calling myself as an HR strategic partner. So how do I create a value chain? Okay. So when I shift from the activity to impact, then what happens? I'm trying to create a link between what I do, all the list of activities into employee outcomes. Outcomes is a lag indicator, which again get impacted with business results. Okay. Now, what are some of the activities we do? Like Aarti said, she does training and development or identifying training dates. And Suchana said she does recruitment and selection. I'm sure somebody does performance management, compensation and benefits. You have employee engagement, grievance handling, employee relationship, which is a part of grievance handling. Are you all in sync with me when I say these are the list of activities? It's a flow, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes? Okay. Now, when I look at these, then what, why do I do them? They are to say, for example, if Aarti is doing training and development, she's doing it because she says, I'm identifying training needs so that the outcome is better skills. If I'm doing a lot of engagement, employee engagement, why do I do that? What is the outcome I'm seeing? Higher engagement, right? If I'm doing even employee relations, etc., for improved motivation, right? If I'm doing recruitment selection, right talent in right roles. So will you all agree with me? This is just an indication I'm giving. Okay. List of activities which can become then these are the inputs for my outcomes. Got it? Just give me a thumbs up, guys. Then we'll go to the next one. Hmm? Then how do they become people related outcomes? Are you following the sequence? I'm giving you all a HR value chain. Now, because of better skills translates to higher productivity, right? Because of better engagement translates to better quality of work. So there is a change in the employee behavior. Because of all that improved innovation is there. This is how there is a change in my employees, lower attrition. This is It's happening across the organization. This is a change in the behavior. Now, because of the change in the behavior, what is the ultimate impact to business? Increased revenue, higher profitability, higher customer satisfaction, increased market growth. These are all the business outcomes. So, can you see how we have established what we do to result in business outcomes? Right? I want you all to do a very quick, small, you can do it at your, on a sheet of paper or a laptop. Look at just one activity you are doing in your role or two activities, like Suchina said, recruitment, training, Arti said training, and link it up to going through all this 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh? I want you all to link it up to the business outcome. Then you will get a feel of what you are doing and how does it impact the business outcomes. So you are creating a value chain. Can we all do that, guys? Huh? It will take
Yes,
about
please.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. So and put that 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you do that, just write HR activity. 1, HR activity. 2, HR outcome. 3, organizational outcome. 4, business outcome. So that you know that there is a flow and there is a value chain, one leading to the other, which is higher. Okay. And also connecting. And that's how you are able to differentiate and create a competitive advantage. Okay, guys. Yeah. Somebody wants to showcase it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Suchana? Yeah. Yeah. In that order, in that value chain order? Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So first, I will talk about recruitment. So
Hmm.
with recruitment, I have connected the HR outcome, which is right talent at the right role. Can you share?
So I'm just reinforcing that. So, Suchana, if I heard you right, can I put HR activity? So we will just stick to one now. Recruitment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. HR activity, recruitment. Okay. Now that
Yes.
will lead to, yeah, HR outcome.
HR outcome would be right talent in right role,
Yeah. So absolutely right talent in right role. Okay. Hmm.
which in organizational outcome, it will be higher productivity.
Absolutely, because when you have the right kind of people, so when you said right talent, I'm also presuming that with the right kind of competencies which are required for that role, right? So when you
Yes.
have the right kind of competencies required for that role, because it's easy said than done, because you have to understand the competency profile of that, then recruit them based on competency based interviewing and all that. So it's a lot of work. So when you do that, obviously you will have uh, higher productivity. Okay.
Yes. And also, I would choose from organizational outcome better quality of work because we are using right talent for the right role. So both of
Right.
this will be a
Absolutely.
outcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That will lead to,
Mhm. That will lead to the business outcome as increased higher productivity.
so till productivity, that was like an organizational outcome.
Yeah.
And you have to differentiate whenever you wear the cap of a business outcomes. If you recall Vilma's yesterday's session 2 presentation also, we're always looking at what revenue, profit, correct?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Numbers, targets. How do you, I don't want to bring in that, but when you talk about a financial perspective of the business, so
Mhm.
when you say business outcomes, we are looking at financial perspective,
Mhm.
EBITDA, revenue, huh?
Mhm.
Profit. Okay. Yeah. So definitely, uh, when you have right talent in the right roles, it will lead to higher productivity, better quality, which will lead to higher revenue and
Higher
Good job
profitability.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, give very nice work. And can we have somebody else now? I'm sorry, I only gave you one. I mean, I wanted to have another participants.
No issues, no issues.
Good
Ma'am,
work.
I'll
Good work.
do. Can I do? Can I share about what I have done recently?
You may, huh? You
Yeah,
can.
so we initiated. I means we. So we initiated telecalling training for the
Call.
telecallers who establish the direct connect with the customers and the leads that get generated by the marketing team. And with that, the HR outcome is that immediate one that they seem to be very happy, motivated, and very confident while taking the call. They're better skilled now only in 2 to 3 sessions, and the organization outcome is the obviously the higher productivity, but it will happen in some time, in a month or two. But they started showing the better results now, and the business
So, in
outcome is
fact, I will just to add on there, by that training, you will see that organization outcome, there will be less drop of calls and resolutions will be better.
right,
So,
right,
that higher productivity and better quality of work will reflect in less number of calls, less number of resolutions, higher, longer time in taking resolution of the call. So, a lot of things you can talk, talk about because of that. Yes. And obviously that will lead to increased revenue.
yeah.
Yeah. They
Also,
are
the
able
customer
to
satisfaction because there are repeat calls made by
Bilkul.
the customers.
You'll in fact increase your market share because there will be higher
Yeah.
customer satisfaction, retaining of old customers and making more customers. So imagine the impact it creates, right? And if it is not, now that's not the end of the story. But when we come, we'll look at data and then see, hey, if it is not happening, then what is the measures? What is that I can do? Correction factors. Okay. This is just to understand the value chain. But then we have to correlate all this with data and see whether it's working. Say, for example, you have given training, call center training, but does the data show? What does the data show? Then, if it is not showing, then you will say, hey, but what is it? Why? No? Then I will go back. Look at where are the gaps? Look at what's happening. Why are they not able to perform in spite of the training? So, the data will give me a better picture. Okay. Okay. So I emphasize that when you create a value chain, so ultimately you're looking at what kind of behavioral changes and then which lead into business outcomes. Okay. Yeah. Like for example, Aarti gave me an example of a customer care executives training. Likewise, you could also look at sales team. When they do when they go through selling techniques training, how it brings about a change in the behavior. They're able to improve. Then they're able to improve the customer conversation, which will lead to business outcomes. Okay. Yeah. The same thing. How are we um, impacting? Okay. Just to show you, attrition in the IT department, 25%. Okay. They are leaving. So when you have done that, understanding the reasons for leaving, it is mostly lack of career growth. The mode shows it is career growth. So what would you do? You would actually then help them, give them counseling, coaching for career growth, introduce even career development programs, mentoring, etc. And then you will check with all this, has the attrition dropped? So therefore, you can actually then predict by doing this, I can actually then predict that how much of attrition will drop, which we will learn through regression. Okay. So that's the power of analytics. Okay. So whatever we do, we need to quantify so that then we can collect data, do the analysis, and then predict. All right. Uh, So always talk about when we're talking about business revenue, profit, productivity, efficiency, ROI, etc. These are very, very important. So when we look at metrics, say for example, training, You can typically look at an activity metric, which is called number of training programs, number of employees trained. These are the normal ones. Okay. And for example, in recruitment, number of hires, number of interviews conducted. But when it becomes a strategic metric, you can look at productivity improvement after training. Okay. When you're looking at recruitment, quality of hire, performance of new hires, revenue contribution of new hires. So when you look at a strategic metric, it's more of the lag indicator, the outcome part of it. It is not the lead part of it you are doing. Okay. So typically, can I say, under the employee relations, you are taking care of a lot of grievances, right? Huh? Okay. Now, so maybe you will track how many grievances you are handling on a day-to-day basis. List of grievances you'll be tracking, right? And you will say, um, I mean, through counseling or whatever. So you have actually looked at the grievance closed. So number of grievances closed. That's an activity. That's called a lead indicator. Means activity which you're doing. Okay, leading. Lead. For example, number of trainings, lead. Okay. For example, number of hires, just an activity, lead indicator. Okay. Number of engagement surveys conducted, activity. But what is a lag? Lag indicator? Lag indicator is the outcome, end result. So you have done an activity, number of training programs, but what was the end result, outcome? Say, for example, I have done leadership training program, number of leadership program. What was the outcome? How many leaders benefited it? Okay. Or say so many surveys conducted. How much of employee engagement went up? Lag indicator. So lag is a outcome. Lead is a what? Driver. Driver is always action. Think of it like that. The driver in the car, it's action. You're doing something. And the end result is what are you wanting to achieve? Clear? Is that clear, guys? Okay. Output, outcome, or the end result. That's the lag. Okay. Like, for example, if I want to show an ROI, so before training, average productivity was so much, but after training, 92. So productivity increased by 50%. So you can actually calculate ROI and show what is the business impact. Okay. For all the training people, they definitely should calculate the ROI. Attrition. Okay. 18%. So attrition highest. So my data tells me it is, it was, highest in 2 years. Why did they leave? The mode shows that it was typically due to career growth. So I'm taking an action in strategic action. That is, I'm introducing career development program, not because I love to do them, because there is a need, and that becomes strategic. Whatever you do, when you identify a gap and do it with a particular outcome in mind, that becomes your strategic action. For example, I'm a manager working on the production floor. Okay. Now, after sitting for 4 hours and I'm walking around. Now, this manager is walking around. There could be two intents, right? One is I want to actually supervise and see how my people are doing. Or the other is I'm actually tired of sitting and so I'm taking a walk, right? So strategic action means you have a specific intent in mind, objective in mind, and you're taking this program. But lot many times what happens in organization, the HR man has gone to some conference. Oh, they were doing competency framework. I also will introduce competency framework. Okay. Oh, everybody is, wanting to be a great, what is that? Everybody does these days. Um, Best employer, those surveys. So you want to be in that list, so you're doing it. No, there is a particular intent and objectivity. When you do that, it becomes strategic. So when does an action become strategic? I want to hear from any one of you. When does your action as an HR person become strategic?
When it has a proper outcome and numbers to show.
Yeah. But can I refine it a little more?
Yeah.
Huh? When you can link it with your business
Outcome.
results.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it? Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to reinforce that. So your HR action can become strategic only when you link it up. We looked at that HR value chain, right? So it should not be like that manager who's just walking around because his legs are, paining, or, he's cramped, he's been sitting there for a long time. I'm just doing things for the sake of doing. No, it must definitely link up with the business outcome. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, similarly, customer complaints. So what do you do? So you are improving customer satisfaction. Okay. You can collect data and you can be very, very focused in terms of what kind of training you want to give. Okay. Because there could be many, many things today. Okay, the production guy will say do this training, the sales guy will say do this training, but what data can show what is that real training which is required to improve the customer satisfaction, so that you can be focused. Because today you don't have huge budgets, so it has to be really very focused. For example, in this value chain of recruitment, Suchana will resonate. Okay. Which is the most critical step, or, in the entire process of recruitment, from recruitment to joining? Which is the important uh, step?
The important step is the selection, I believe.
Selection. I believe why you say yes, selection. So where I'm saying, okay, selection includes interviewing also, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm? I'm including. Say, for example, you have sourced. Okay, of course, you have to ensure that right sourcing has been done. Otherwise, you will receive so much that your sourcing to screening will be, you have less percentage or less yield. Yield. If your output, that is yield at every step, is lesser, that means you need to really go back and look at your chain. Where is the yield? Where is it having a problem, right? Okay. So we are talking about after screening, then you are selecting, you are identifying these are the candidates who fulfill our criteria in terms of education, qualifications, experience, and everything. Let's call them for interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, many times what happens, you have done your best by getting the best people, but the interviewer has rejected. And the interviewer has rejected not because the candidates were bad, because the interviewer did not have the right kind of skills for interviewing. Does it happen?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Does it happen? Now, with the data, now, so Suchana has 4 or 5 interviewers, and recruitment manager says, or the head of HR says, hey, our yield after the interview is not showing good results because people are going for PIP, and also we are not able to get the good candidate. First of all, let us see, the major filter is interviewing skills as well. So let us see, we need to give training to all our interviewers. Now we need to know who are our good interviewers and who are our bad interviewers. Supposing you are given that, anybody, it's not just Suchana, if you are in the recruitment and you have to now give training to your interviewers in interviewing skills. Okay. How will you go about? You have at least say 5 interviewers. You have to now know who is actually good and who is actually not good. How will you go about? Let me tell you guys, you can actually look at data and then uh, do a analysis wherein you'll be able to find out that, there is no correlation between how the interview is being done with the performance of this person after he joins. Got it? Higher the correlation, that means the interviewer who has interviewed that person is good. But if there's not much of a correlation, then that means the interviewer has actually not done a good interview. So there are certain techniques, tools and techniques wherein we can look at the performance rating data and the rating given by the interviewer and check for correlation. Got
Mhm.
it? And check for correlation. Now we can get both the sets of data, that is performance data from the business manager and interviewer rating data from the from the files, right? And we
Mhm.
can correlate. Quickly, I want to show you that very interesting it is. So that you all can just first, because we are doing recruitment, I thought I'll just show you that. Yeah. It's called correlation. All of you have some laptops to work on, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, say for example, these are the two recruiters in your company. Okay. One is Ashok, who is always boasting about his recruitment skills. He has fixed set of questions which he is asking the candidate. And he feels just by looking, many of the interviewers will say, hey, I can just tell whether this guy should be selected or not by looking at it. Agree, disagree?
Mhm.
Huh?
Mhm.
Agree?
Yeah.
No, no. Some of the interviews will say, hey, I buy just looking at him and doing an interview for 5 minutes, I can know, I can easily select him. But there are also people who will ask simple questions, prepare that. They will also observe the body language. They will do everything, right? Now,
Mhm.
I want to know between Ashok and Deepak, who should be given an interviewer's training. Now, we have in today's times, we can do a correlation. Okay. How do we go about? We can correlate. I'm not going to do this one. This I will give you as a homework. But let me just tell you. What you can do is you can look at all the list of employees. Okay. Say if
Mhm.
I've written A, B, C, D, F, G, these are the list of employees. Got it? Hmm?
Mhm.
Next, you just put rating in the during the interview when the person was being interviewed. These are the ratings. Okay. Now this data is for Ashok. So I have to correlate between Ashok has interviewed a list of employees and I've taken their rating data and I've also taken their performance rating. Simple? Okay.
Um,
Now,
I have one
all,
question.
yeah, yeah.
This rating in the interview for each employee, is that employee's rating by Ashok, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But they have not become employee. They were being
Candidate
interviewed,
as a
right? As a
yeah, that
candidate.
means
Ah.
candidate. Yeah.
Then they
That
become,
is
and then
candidate
this
rating.
is after 3 months or 6 months, their performance rating. Got it? Now you may say, where will I get performance rating data? Ask the business manager wherever they are working, right?
Mhm.
This one, where will I get? During the interview, you will get the rating, right? In any form, you will have an interview rating and you can get this data. Okay. So simply correlating this data with this data, and we actually calculate what we call it as correlation coefficient. I don't know how many of you are a little familiar with the statistics. So what we call it as correlation coefficient. So when we do a correlation of this data, okay, and we can easily identify who is a good interviewer and who is not a good interviewer. Okay. Hmm? Um, what I will do is I'll quickly get this data on an Excel sheet and show it to you. But so when you do a correlation, let me also show you. Okay. When you do a correlation, for example, the trend line, I will show you actually, I'll work out and show you how it is. For a bad interviewer, the correlation will be very, very less. And therefore, we can give him a training. And for a good interviewer, the correlation will be very high. Okay. How do you do it? We can quickly look at this data and let me show you in a Excel sheet. Okay. Okay. I will do the just okay. Okay. 1 second, guys. Let me do this a little later for you. Let me explain to you the concept and then we'll do it. Okay, that was just to give you a little bit of a enthusiasm saying that hey, how we can establish, but we will be doing it after a little while. Let me first help you with the concepts.
Yeah.
Okay. We were here. Yeah. Metrics. We were here, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to do this exercise, but yes, number of training programs. Is it an activity metric? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Training impact on productivity. Anybody? What metric is it? Activity or strategic?
Strategic metrics.
Great. Number of hires?
Activity again.
Yep. Revenue per employee?
Again, strategic.
Yeah. Yeah. Number of engagement activities? Activity, right?
Right.
And
Right.
attrition reduction after engagement programs? It's a strategic. So you're very clear about what is an activity metric and what is a strategic metric. Activity is just the activity number of times you have done this, but strategic is anything which has a business impact. Okay. Yeah. So these are some of the things we track typically. I'm sure all of you in your HR role, you track employee engagement, ratings, retention, hypo. Hypo is HIPO. Anybody who can tell me that is
High
hypo.
performance.
Yeah, great. High performance. Yeah. Percentage of employees with development plan, readiness, internal hire, um, diversity of workforce. We track this also, right? In the organizations, diversity of workforce, level of expertise, etc. All these we track. And what are these? These are all measures, metrics, KPIs for what kind of it is activity or strategic?
Strategic.
These are strategic. Some of them employee engagement, performance rating. These are mostly activities. If you see, this is as is. They're also called operational metrics. They're only giving us numbers, right? What percentage? You have not done anything on it to understand what is the business impact. Are you clear? Hey guys, somebody said strategic. So these are all mostly activity measures, activity metrics. So typically we track recruitment, retention, PMS, career, all these things. Okay. We've already spoken about it. So typically 5 strategic areas: acquisition, productivity metrics, engagement, L&D, and financial and strategic HR metrics. So workforce productivity metrics, you can look at revenue per employee. Okay. Typically, it's a very, very good metric. All HR people should know what is the revenue per employee for their business or for their vertical. And how do you calculate that? Do you have an idea? How do you calculate revenue per employee? Anybody? Did you do that earlier anytime? Okay,
Yeah,
simple.
total revenue divided by number of employees.
Absolutely. That will give you revenue per employee. Yeah.
Yeah. But ma'am,
Then,
what is the best what is the best ratio? For example, we are targeting 50,000 as our best productivity.
come again. Come again.
So our target is 50,000. We are a manufacturing industry. So is that
Yes.
correct or no?
No, no.
Or
So typically, broadly speaking, when you're saying at an organization level, I have 1,000 employees. At an organization level, 200 crores is my revenue. So very,
yeah,
very simple. Revenue per employee will be 200 crores divided by 1,000, and you will get this per employee. But now this doesn't tell it all. So every organization has what? So many verticals, so many businesses running. So therefore, you can then do what? By vertical, by process, etc. You will exactly know where are you actually in a increasing trend, where are you at a lesser revenue. That's how then you take action plan. See, this gives you a very broad. But then if you want to know vertical by vertical, process by process, then you will have to look at in that process how many employees, what is the kind of a revenue, and what is the revenue per employee. Okay.
okay,
And what you're doing is absolutely right, Shan. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. So, like for example,
But
profit
ma'am,
also.
mostly we are in between 30,000 and 40,000. Okay, and our
Okay.
target is to reach to 50,000 because the revenue is not increasing. That's why always in between 30 and 40,000.
Now there are two
But my
good
question
questions.
is, based on
Uh,
the industry, the
I was just
target will
coming to that.
change.
I
Yeah.
was just
Okay.
coming to that. Yeah, very interesting. So typically, when you look at a ballpark figure of revenue per employee, now you
Mm,
also have to look at, hey, in my industry, what is the benchmark, right?
yeah.
Now, other industries are having higher revenue. So why am I having this gap? So what will you do? You will look at your own processes. You
Okay.
will do a fishbone. Like I'm sure you have got that. I detailed everything in detail. Like a head will be your problem, and the fins will be causes. So then you will look in detail. Where is it? Machine? Is it material? Is it resources? What is the gap? Where am I losing out? While the other companies are making higher revenue. So you in turn, if that is your target, or sometimes maybe your organization has actually given a higher target as in compared to your peers, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes that also happens, no?
Yeah. Correct.
Because we have to be realistic as well, but you can't tell that. So you have to identify definitely. When you look at a benchmark, you will know that definitely why. Because let me also tell you guys, revenue per employee at the same time as an HRBP, you have to look at one more very critical metric measure: wage, total wages.
Yeah.
Why wages are important? Because what is my wage cost per employee, right?
Yeah.
Employee cost. So if my employee cost is very high as in compared to revenue, what does it mean? Less profit.
Yeah.
So how can I reduce my employee cost? Do I do automation? Or is it that my people are not really qualified? I'm not getting good performers, not the right kind of competencies in place? No, there could be many reasons. Okay. So I'll have to go through that, uh, identifying the causes. See, this is again revenue. Yeah. So I told you one more metric is very important metric is total cost of employees or wage cost to revenue. Okay.
Ma'am, when you say wage cost, you consider payroll cost or actual employee cost?
You have to go to the payroll guy and take the entire payroll cost.
Okay. We should not consider the actual employee cost, correct?
No, no. What is
I
actual?
mean,
Because you'll
CTC.
also have variable cost, variable
Yeah.
salary, right? Typically, you don't take into consideration variable is varies. It could be zero one month, it could be more 1 month, right? Variable.
Yeah,
It
correct.
varies on productivity. But employee cost is that payroll cost, which is, a fixed salary which you give month on month, irrespective of whether he is performing or not performing, unless and until he is, exited the organization, right?
Yeah.
So best is to go and look at your payroll cost. Okay.
Okay.
All
Perfect.
right. Okay. So supposing I want to look at ROI, return on investment. So how will I look at return on investment? So revenue minus operating expenses, right? Minus compensation costs. In fact, compensation is also a part of the operating expenses. Okay. So sometimes if it is not included, that's why here it is again specially mentioned compensation cost. But typically, operating expenses include compensation cost or the payroll cost or the wage cost. So when you look at revenue and this is the operating cost, then what is it? Then you look at the ROI, return on capital invested is this much. And these are some of the metrics I think all of you should be able to calculate for your own organization or for your vertical, because this will give you a sense of where are you vis-a-vis the business metrics like revenue, profit, productivity, etc. Same thing, time to fill, time to productivity, cost per hire. Typically, cost per hire is something all the HR people who are doing recruitment will calculate, right? Why is it important? Cost per hire? Some of you are doing recruitment, yeah. Why is it important to know cost per hire? Whether I'm exceeding my budgets, right? And where am I incurring? Because if you reduce the costs by looking at social media, etc., definitely you can reduce the cost. Then what happens? Then your margins becoming higher. Okay. Time for filling also is very, very important, because what happens sometimes there are critical positions and you are not able to fill them in within the required time. What happens? Delay in filling up those critical positions may impact business productivity, right? So productivity, how you calculate, and quality of hire. Yeah, how do you, Suchina will say, madam is asking me, how do you measure the quality of hire, Suchina?
Quality of hire. So I like to be honest, I haven't measured that yet.
Yeah.
But I can see it from the slides, which I understand that we need to take performance rating and the retention. So retention is what exactly? But like, how do you measure the retention over here?
So
Hiring manager
typically
satisfaction.
what happens, let me tell you, typically what happens, we put certain measures and metrics. Otherwise, whom do we give responsibility for people when they attract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
starting from sourcing to, um, you know, offers accepted to offers joining, we put that on the recruitment guide. Okay.
Right.
Now, till that time, I mean, I'm running a batch of 20 people and I've only got 5 people. What happens to my business is going to suffer, right? I'm going to
Yes.
pull up the recruitment guy. Huh?
Right.
Because he is supposed to. So that means somewhere, even if they were very best candidates, somewhere he has miscalculated and people have not joined. So that's all. I mean, he should have done that. Now, after the training, huh? After the training, and the person has gone to the business for 3 months, and still I'm going to hold responsibility with the hiring manager. Why? If after 3 months also this guy has not come up to certain level of productivity which is must, and I'm sending him for PIP, what does it reflect? What does it show? You tell me,
He's
Suchna.
a correct recruitment.
The criteria quality of hire is not good. You
No.
can't blame it on the business guy, no?
Right.
Or if they have iterated. That means motivation. You should have looked at motivation, good people, but you have not ensured that, because that's why it's very, very important that you have to do a motivational check. I may be very good, but I may be wanting to just park myself for 2 months or 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to suffer. The business is going to suffer. But typically, what do the recruitment people do? Very good, hire them. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
After 2 months, they've gone.
Mm-hmm.
Pata laga. I mean, that this person, actually has applied for going abroad. So he thought, why should he waste his time? Let him be, huh? He'll get 2 months salary. That's all. So you have to ensure what? Motivational check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Behavioral check, motivational check. Now, some people are very good, but no behavioral check. The guy is arrogant, stubborn, doesn't want to do. He knows everything, but he doesn't want. Then do I need to keep those people? Okay. So again, I hold hiring manager responsible. But after 6 months, they are good. But then he has not been continuing, giving good productivity, or he has attracted. Then I will hold responsibility of the business manager or the reporting manager. Why? Because people live not because of organizations, but because of what?
Them
Huh? Because of bosses. No,
bosses.
hiring manager has done a good job, but the boss has not been supportive. He has not been a good counselor. He has not given him good direction. Okay, he has not motivated him sufficiently. So he says, hey, I'm not going to work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so got it? Okay,
Yeah.
you can actually go through training effectiveness. Aarti, you mentioned about training effectiveness, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you want to measure training effectiveness, pre and post, very important. Huh? Because post will give you, okay, how much he has improved in his performance. Pre will give you before the training, what was his performance like. Then you will able to what? You can do a correlation. We'll teach you how to do correlation. Huh? You'll establish a relationship between what? The activity and the impact. Okay, through this correlation technique, and looking at the data, you will say, hey, there's a high correlation. So therefore, then you can also do a regression saying that if I give a 1 day of training, I can make such an impact. If I do so much of training, so you can, to that extent, you can actually measure, and you can also then predict.
Right.
Okay. Employee engagement. You do so many initiatives. So through this correlation exercise, we can say, hey, I can increase the customer's basket. That means my employees will be so customer centric that it will have an impact on the revenue. Okay. Yeah. Absenteeism, productivity index, overtime cost, HR expense ratio. So these are all those metrics which you can calculate. Okay. Okay, guys, we've also covered the HR value chain, and I've covered this also earlier. So we'll take a small break now, come back and do some activity. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the HR value chain already, saying how does what we are doing the activity, how does it link up, and in that chain, how are we creating value to the business, which we talked about. Okay, in terms of business results, revenue, productivity, etc. Okay, so this is the flow. How do we change the behavior of the employees, which translates to operational performance and leads to business results? Okay, so you can see the stage: activities, outcomes, change in employee behavior, uh, translating into operational performance, which leads to business results. Okay. Yeah, we looked at a sales training program, say, for example, gaining selling skills, salespeople approach the customers better, which increases the conversion rate and leading to higher revenue. So likewise, there are more examples, list of HR activities, HR outcomes, and HR, the change in the employee behavior. I'll just take one of them. Say, for example, engagement initiatives, So higher engagement, and because of higher engagement, what happens? Employees respond faster, they give better feedback, they are able to increase their productivity, uh, which changes the behavior of the employees, which results into increased business results, which is revenue. Okay. Yeah. So we looked at HR value chain. So both in terms of, you can look at everything, whatever we do, be it leadership development, be it recruitment. Say, for example, we'll take leadership development. Leadership development program leads to managers learning coaching skills. So therefore, managers are able to support their teams better, which results into higher employee engagement, which leads to lower attrition. Lower attrition obviously impacts business results. Likewise, value chain in recruitment, improving higher processes, so better quality of candidates, which leads to employees performing better. So better means faster project delivery, so which leads to higher customer satisfaction. Okay, so the flow is activity, HR outcome, change in employees' behavior. So there is an operational impact leading to business results. So this is the flow. Whenever you do any activity, please keep the flow in mind. All right. So value is created when employees change behavior, which leads to or improves business performance. Okay. Say, for example, KPIs. What are KPIs? What are KPIs?
Key
Key
performance indicators.
performance indicators.
Yeah, because there was a lull. I said, let me create. So for hiring, typically, what will be your KPI? So I'll just click on this link.
It should be the lead time.
Absolutely. Mhm. Sometimes it's open, sometimes it doesn't open. Okay. You can have a look at it. It's sent. Move on. A typical dashboard, just for your information. You can have an HR business partner dashboard, right? Huh?
Mhm.
And what will you, what is a dashboard? It's a visual showcasing all the what? Operational metrics, how you have done. So it can have what all? It can have total number of employees, it can have locations, it can have business units, it can group them. See, open, it can have positions, job wise, function wise, open positions, you can have a pie, you can have a bar charts, you can have, so depending on the need and depending on your organization, you can create dashboards, okay? And which we typically go in detail in a analytics program. So you can also have a dashboard like this. Like if you see, these are all the functions, okay? And these are all the number of employees. You can have compensation data. You can have new hires and terminations, new hires, diversity ratio, how many people have completed training, what is your employee satisfaction ratio, etc. You can also have it like this, engagement and retention KPI board. Okay. All right. So these are some of the things what HR must do and some examples here. Okay. We've already spoken about it in length. So how do you use HR metrics to identify your workforce priorities? So these are all your KPIs. Revenue per employee we talked about, right? How do we, this is a measure. And how do you calculate this revenue per employee? Total revenue by number of total
Employee.
employees. Okay, let me take cost per hire. Total recruitment cost divided by number of hires. Time to fill. Total days to fill roles by number of roles. Okay. Engagement score. Average engagement survey score. So these are the KPIs, and this is the formula how to measure this KPI. So when you measure it, when you have this, then you can actually have a business insight. Say, for example, time to fill. So your time to fill is showing very what? Less. So what does it reflect then? If your time to fill is equal to or less than what has been decided as per SLA, what does it reflect? It's
Efficiency.
Efficiencies and
hiring efficiency.
Mm.
Absolutely. Let us take attrition rate. Okay. Your attrition rate. And you are actually having a KPI and you have also calculated. So if your attrition rate is very less or low, what does it indicate? That means it's better, right? Better retention health. Hmm?
yes,
Okay. Say, for example, your engagement score, it is really very high. What is the business insight?
people are engaged.
Engage. So therefore, employee commitment, right?
Commitment.
It's high. Okay. So this will be sent to you. So all there. So I was just picking up some of them. All right. So this is let me show you this control. Let me see if it opens. Sometimes it opens, sometimes it doesn't. Hmm. If you recall, I was mentioning about Human Capital Readiness Index. This is one of the KPIs and it's a measure. Now, as a word or as it suggests, Human Capital Readiness Index. So what does it mean? What does it represent? Anybody?
Where they are right now in
Yeah,
terms of
you want to read? Someone can read this. This
human
measure
capital.
represents, yeah.
Human Capital Readiness Index (HCRI) is equal to current competencies of employees in the department by total competencies required by the department.
So when we talk about readiness, what does it mean? That hey, you know, what is your index low or high? That means how many people have those critical competencies which are required so that your organization is ready to perform. Okay, and this is very, very important because if your human capital readiness is low, then what happens? You are not able to perform. Therefore, it impacts your productivity and therefore your business results. Okay, so this is a measure which represents the availability of employee skills, talent, and know how to perform those internal processes which are critical to the strategy's success. It doesn't talk about the entire total organization. How does it work? Let me just show you. I don't know if you are able to. Can you see this properly? Huh? Say this is an organization, okay? And these are the four job families or functions. What are they? Operations management, customer management, innovation, and regulatory and social. These are those internal business processes which drive this organization. This is more like a banking industry, okay? Because it has regulatory, it has innovation, customer. All right. Now, if you want to find out your human capital readiness, now what do you need to do? You have to find out which are those, these are the strategic processes, which are those critical strategic positions. So it says under this quality manager, call center, certified financial planner, telemarketer. So these are those critical strategic positions which are required, okay, to ensure that they run these processes for the organization to perform. Having said that, now what do you need to do next? You have to find out, easy to understand. Let me take a call center representative, okay? If this is a strategic position as well, what are the competencies? Like Suchana will say, okay, if I have to recruit or hire call center representative, what are the competencies required for this position? Customer interaction center, program management systems, okay, team in a behavioral team building. So these are the competencies required. Now, I have what? Done an assessment center and I said, hey, now the number required is 20. Okay. But how many people do I have? Only 90%. That means I need how many more people?
10%.
10% more. Like, for example, red. 100 people required, but what is the number I have?
40%.
40%. Here, 10 people I need, but what is the number I have?
20.
20%. That means some positions, here I have 100, some are in red, some are in yellow. So when I say human capital readiness index, I do this and I get a picture in terms of what is my readiness. For example, in this operational management, here quality managers, I have 100% readiness. Whereas in understanding customer segments, which is a part of my innovation process, customer marketer, I only have 20%. So what do I need to do? I need to look at overall, I have 65% only. So I need to look at and say, hey, now do I hire them from outside? Do I promote some people or do I do training? So I will then do my what? Readiness in terms of it could be hire, it could be training, it could be creating a pipeline. So I can have even 150%. That means I have already have excess, which I've just promoted. I will be keeping them as a pipeline. Okay. So even when you go back to your organization, if you want to calculate human capital readiness for your own business, you need to understand from your business manager, hey, which are those critical positions which are driving this business? So typically critical positions are 10 to 15% of that business or 20% maybe. Then as an HRBP, you have to ensure that the constant talent pipeline. Why? If they are not in readiness and somebody suddenly leaves, then what will happen? You know what the business guy will say? I want this person as of yesterday. And how will you manage? You will manage by paying 3 times more salary, right? Because sometimes what happens, critical positions, they're not easily available. You may have to really negotiate and pay higher salary. Are you with me, guys?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is what is human capital readiness index. So you don't calculate this index for all the positions. You're only calculating for strategic positions. Now, what do I mean by strategic positions?
Positions, those are critical to business.
To business. And they could be even low, middle, or top, not necessarily the only top positions as it is misunderstood normally. Okay,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
really drive the business. All right. Yeah. Any questions here before
Yeah,
we?
ma'am, one
Ah,
question. As you
mm,
said, let's say where the numbers are low, like for example, this cross sell the product line, which is the certified financial planner, which is 40% availability of the numbers,
mm,
right?
mm.
So I wanted to know how could training can impact here? Like,
Yeah. So what will you do? Certified technical planner at what level? Are there people at a lower level? You want to really do career planning for them? Then you will increase, you will give training to them and then build a pipeline. And
Mhm.
you see, if you're going to hire people at that level, maybe the hiring cost and wage cost will be higher. So why not do a career planning and bring people from lower level to higher level? And uh, so you're doing what? Retention strategy as well?
Yes, and as well as succession planning for few critical roles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in banks, mostly you must have career planning, succession planning, because what happens if you have to hire critical strategic positions at a higher level, they cost a lot in the market. So, for example, you have a BCom guy, you are actually taking him at a accountant level. Okay, say for example, now you will tell that hey, in 5 years you can become a manager. How? A, I'll say you have to increase your qualification. Say, for example, there is something like a CAIIB banking exam, one and two. So if you pass one in 2 years' time, you will get an extra increment. If you pass both of them in 3 years or 5 years' time, you will get two increments. Okay. And then what is the benefit? You are also getting increments and you also become a manager. So for my high performers, it is a carrot for me to have them retained in the organization rather than lose them.
Hmm.
Okay, and get a guy at a higher level. So when you're doing human capital readiness, you just can't just look at only the present. You also have to look at the entire big picture and say, hey, how can I do talent planning? So this typically comes under talent management as well. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So when we talk about metrics, okay, as I said, descriptive. When you're creating a dashboard, it's mostly descriptive. That means metrics which are actually capturing what is happening. Number of people, number of resign, number of, people. So everything as is. You're just tracking. Okay. But when you are looking at predictive, what will happen in the future? What will happen in the future? So, to give you an example, so what is the value chain in the analytics? So, you have first descriptive analytics, then later you have diagnostic analytics, and then you have predictive analytics, and then prescriptive analytics. Okay. Now, as the name suggests, descriptive. So, in a typical dashboard, what I said, everything about turnover, time to hire, cost, as is, operational analytics. But when you talk about diagnostic, as the word suggests, diagnostic, you're trying to find out, diagnose why it happened, root causes. Okay. So, it needs further tools and techniques. Only then you can do a diagnostic. So, where we use correlation, regression, etc. And then predict. Okay. Then you can actually predict why it happened. And what is prescriptive? When you go to a doctor, he gives you a prescription. But does he give you a prescription of medicine based on what? What does he do? Anybody? You have fever, you go to a doctor, then what he does to you?
Analyze.
Analyze through some diagnostic test. He'll say, go get a blood sample done, a urine sample done, and you'll get all that. Then what will he do? He may
Then he
predict,
will
oh, this could be this could be this. Then he will come to a conclusion and say, I'll give you this medicine. This is for the fever. This is what. Prescriptive. Prescription, right? So, but he will not give you a prescription without doing a diagnostic. Will he? Without doing the tests.
Hmm.
So likewise, whenever you have to do something, even in HR, you have to understand the root causes. So how do we go about understanding the root causes? We do some kind of a data analysis. Now, data analysis can be done when you have data. So what kind of a data do you get in the HR? Anybody? I'm giving you, there is a screen also open, but you can just tell me what kind of a data you are sitting on. All of you are sitting on some data. Tell me what kind of a data.
Their qualification, their experience, their
So
tenure in the
employee data is
organization,
there always, right? Qualification, experience, recruitment data is there, performance data is there,
performance data.
compensation data, engagement data, L&D data, absence and leave data. So there is huge amount of data right from the time the employee joins the organization, entire employee cycle, and then you have the data, right?
Mhm.
Now, can I do analysis and then make certain diagnostics and then make some predictions? Yes, depending on what are my What are my issues? What are my problems? Okay. So you have quantitative data, you have qualitative data. Where do you have qualitative data?
In engagements, like employee engagement
Absolutely,
surveys.
Suchana. Absolutely. When you do an employee engagement survey, the data is qualitative, right? And then you convert that data into quantitative. Like for example, you are given a rating scale of where you are saying, um, um, you know, um, happy to, unhappy to happy. So you
Mm-hmm.
can have flavors, right? And then that can be put into a rating scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what happens? So 1 is the lowest, 5 is the highest. So you're quantifying that data. For example, performance management. So in performance management, typically what do you have? Poor, average, then good, very good, outstanding. Now that gets converted into what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
Quantitative data.
it becomes quantitative. You can't do analysis without numbers, quantitative. So qualitative data can also be converted into quantitative data. Yeah. So this is a set of data. What are the various fields you have here? Employees, hiring data, compensation, bonus, overtime, department, number of sick days, performance score, mode of recruitment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And for how many employees I have? I have for
50.
50 employees. But can I make out anything? I can't make out much. So typically when I have data and I want to really work on it, the first thing I do is look at a descriptive statistics. Okay. What is it? Descriptive statistics, which will give me mean, median, mode, etc. Something like this. Now you must be wondering, how do I get this? Okay. I'll show you. Okay. So what you need to do, first of all, when you want to do this, you have to download a tool called data analytics tool. Anybody? So what you do, simple, file, then go to options, then go to add-ins, then download your analysis tool pack. Got it? And then I say, okay, have I done it? Now, here you should get an indication of data analysis tool, but it doesn't show. So what I do, just go to data. Can you see now? Data analysis tool. Click on this. Okay. Now it will give you a set of analysis tools. Now what I want to know, I want to use descriptive statistics. Got it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then say, okay. Now what has happened? It has opened a window. Input. Then it says labels. Then it says output. Now input. So what I will do, I want to look at the sick days. Sick days. What is the men? What is the mode? Huh? What is the mean? Okay. Or I can look at performance score. Okay, we'll look at performance score. So what you do, you click on that and then
It is not coming.
okay, what have you done? You have done the input range. Now say labels. Now where do you want your output range? You want it in a new worksheet? Okay. So new worksheet. All right. A new workbook. I'll put it in a new workbook. Now, summary, confidence level will always be 95. Okay, this and this. Now say okay. Now, that data, then you'll be able to, at least say, hey, a typical statistic. What is the, yeah. So you can see mean of the data, performance data, 3. Look at median is 3. That means typically what is it showing? That most of the people, all the people are at 3 on a rating scale of 1 to 5. Okay. Now, what does standard deviation SD tell us? It tells us the variance in the sense how what is the spread? It is not much, it is low. Okay. Then talking about kurtosis. What is kurtosis typically? Kurtosis is how is the data? A data can be peaked in the sense, the variance is very less and it can have a peak, or the variance, that is, the data can be very spread. So, kurtosis tells you the peak. Now, minimum, maximum, sum, count, largest, and smallest. So, typically, in descriptive statistics, what is useful to us is mean, median, mode, minimum, maximum, range. Range. What is the range? How will you calculate range? Anybody? Range is the difference between the largest and the smallest. So the largest is 5 and the smallest is 1. So therefore the range is 4. Okay. So when you look at data, when you do descriptive statistics, you get an idea about uh, all these things. All right. So that was one set of data. Now you want to compare two sets of data. Say, for example, I want to look at the number of training programs I've done training data with the performance data. Okay. Then what do? I want to see whether it is correlates. Okay. I'm going to take you to the data now and do it. So correlate. So it's called correlation. Now, what is the measure for this correlation? The measure is 1. When you have, so -1 to +1 is the range of correlation. And when you have a +1, that means it is absolutely positively correlated. That means when data goes up, the other is also going up. Okay. And when it is minus, when one data goes up, the other one is coming down. So let me just show you with the data and explain to you. Yeah. Okay. So can you see this data, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of fields can you see? What data are you seeing here?
Performance standard, percentile salary level, and
Number
years
of
of
years of
experience.
experience and also ESAT. I can't make out anything whether, if my ESAT score is high, whether performance standard is going up, right? With number of years of experience, is the percentile salary level going up? So what do I do if I want to actually analyze two sets of data? I need to do a correlation. Okay. What I need to do? Correlation. Now, how will I do correlation? Simple. I have to use what? Formula here. Okay. Go to formula, insert function. Now, can you see there is something called correl here? Can you see that? My cursor is there. Can you see? I'll
Yes,
click on that.
Corel, yeah.
And then I will say, okay. All right. Now, I want to see if there is a correlation between the employee satisfaction and the performance standard. Okay. That means performance standard could be like performance of the employee. Got it? Is there a correlation? That means is that score is high, does the performance also be high? So what will I do? I will click on this. Okay. Now, what am I looking at? Performance standard. So, sorry. Let me just Give me a long one. Let me do it again. Formula, insert function. Formula result cancel. Okay. Formula, insert function, curl. Okay. Array 1. Right. Then okay. Then I'll say, oh. So what is the correlation? I should have actually put that one there. What is the correlation here? Can you see this number? What's the correlation?
0.14.
0.14. 14. So what did I say? Correlation, anything between plus
1 and -1.
plus 1 to minus 1. Okay? Through 0. So this is plus, but it is very, very negligible. All right. Now, through a trend line, let us see how it looks. Let me just delete this. Okay. Let us look at the same thing through a trend line. Okay. So what will I do if I want a trend line? I have to select okay, then insert, then go to charts and go to scatter. Okay, and then take any dot on this and add trend line. Got it? Add trend line. I'll make it a little bigger. So if you see the trend line, the data doesn't show that it's a very negligible correlation. That means with the employee satisfaction index going up, the performance standard, there is no correlation between performance standard and employee satisfaction. Okay. Now you have an activity there. I want to stop this and I will open that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you see this data? Very simple, small departmental data, which has a set of 5 departments with the number of employees exited, that is left, what was the score, what was the manager rating, overtime, and their salary. With the attrition date of last year, attrition rate of last year, and attrition rate of previous year. So the question is, how will you analyze this data based on this total data set, departmental data, that you have to check why the attrition was there, what was the attrition, is it less or it is more. So this is what is called
They can do descriptive, yeah. They can do descriptive.
This is called, so we have put the data set here. This is the descriptive analytics. So descriptive analytics talks about basically what happened. So you have a set of data and you want to know that what happened, right? So how to find out that? Very simple. You use the simple pivot table chart. Here we do not use the data analysis tool pack to do the analytics. Those we use it while we are doing the diagnostic and the predictive analytics, which are more advanced. So for getting a very simple, informed, output as to what has happened, you use the pivot chart. How do any one of you who has ever used the pivot chart?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Regularly.
So it is just very
Great.
simple. You just,
Select
click, I mean,
select the data,
select the data and then go to insert.
insert,
You'll get a
then
pivot table.
pivot table,
Already
and
the
then
range
pivot.
is there. You do pivot range, right? New work. It will open into a new worksheet. Okay. So this is your worksheet. Now it is blank.
Now it's already.
You select everything at the box. Here, 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 here. And what
You
you
have
do,
all the items,
have all
field
the items,
areas.
right? So suppose you want to know only about customer support. So you just click here, you'll get the customer support data. So in customer support here, 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 and the details. Okay. So forget this. So this is your descriptive analytics sheet. You have the
Yeah.
data, right?
Now just show them that.
You just want to know that what was the attrition rate in the last 2 years. I'm not bothered about what was the employee left and how many was the engagement score. I just want to know the attrition rate. So what I do, I go here, I remove everything. I remove everything. I just keep this. So I get to know overall that the attrition rate this year is highest or lower. Is it higher side or lower side? It is on the higher side. Last year it was 17, now it is 20. And the company and the department which is most impacted is the customer support, which has 20%. This is my first analysis that the attrition rate has increased by 3%, and the highest impacted department is customer support. Customer support, and second is sales. And the lower side are finance, HR, and technology. Now my next question comes, why this attrition? Right? So I go back.
Just 1 second. So now you have found out attrition. Now you have to find out why it has happened, the reason.
So people left. Engagement score. These are the metrics which I need to check. And these are the employees. So now you see that out of 150 people in customer support, the attrition has increased. People left are highest, that is 30. Highest, 30. Engagement score is 65. Lowest. Manager rating is 3. Again, it is lowest. Overtime is highest. Again, question mark. And salary is also less. So now you see, customer support has highest people leaving. They are less engaged. Engagement score is less. Manager rating is average or less than average. Overtime is highest. So a lot of overload. And salary is also average is 6 lakhs. While the most satisfied is technology, where the attrition is also low. People left are also less. Engagement score is high. Rating is excellent, very good, and less of overtime and more highest salary. So you see the difference? Why? So this answers your why. Because of these yellow marks you see, 30, 65, 3, 16, 6. These are the metrics which tells that the customer support department has a very poor ratings and scores, and that's the reason why the attrition has moved from 17% to 20% this year, by increased by 3%. So out of
Vilma,
590
maybe you
employees,
have to pause, Vilma, and ask them if they have any questions here, because some of them may not be doing private. So just ask them question if they have any questions here. No?
so have you understood what analysis you can do from this simple data set? You can draw a
Yeah, I'm getting all.
information which is very descriptive in nature. Here you haven't yet done any analysis. It is very descriptive in nature, and what it tells you are the scores and the reasons. So it, at one glance in one dashboard, you can see why it is 20% in customer support and 5% in technology. The reasons are very clear. And the metrics that you have used are the employees left, the scores, the ratings, the overtime, and the salary. These are your 5 metrics that you have used.
Also, Vilma, Can you just, keep the cursor in the pivot table and then just show them how they can do this charts, which is so simple.
Which one?
Any charts, like for example,
Acha, acha.
uh,
Hmm.
they can have charts like attrition vis-a-vis the rating, bar charts they can have, or even,
Yeah. So you can go to insert. These are some of the recommended charts which you can use. So let's use this clustered column. We can use this. This is simple.
and then paste it separately.
Let's see. So here it is highlighted in blue, orange, gray, yellow, blue. So these are the departments. So orange is the technology departments, which has the highest engagement score. So at a glance from, this dashboard, you can see highest technology team has highest engagement, highest employee 200, manager rating is also highest 4.4, average overtime is lowest for technology, highest is for customer support. In average salary, again, customer support has the lowest, highest salary goes to technology team. So here you can find out the lowest and the highest, through these colorful, layouts, which is very pictorial in nature. And then you can put your descriptors here in the chart title, whatever you want, Are you showing the attrition rate or the average? Whichever you want to show, you can remove that data and show only those data which you want to display on the screen. Okay. Suppose I want to only show attrition, current attrition and last year attrition. Then what do? I will only pick up those data, right? Correct. So it shows last year attrition was this and this year. You can also label this. Right now it is not labeled. You can label it. So this is the attrition. Blue is the last year attrition and green is the this year attrition.
I think they should do an activity of this data so that they're able to, as a group, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Try out, see. So the questions are also given. See what you have to find out. Find out what is the total number of employees, how many employees, and
And
show it in the
graphs.
chart. Show it in the chart.
Yeah.
590 employees. How many employees left? Which department has highest attrition? Which department has lowest attrition? What attrition rate by department? Is attrition increasing or decreasing? So these are the set of questions, and based on this pivot table chart, you can do it. You can answer those using this pivot table chart. Okay.
So you want them to be in a group,
One
and
group.
they can actually put it on the screen and do it as one group.
Yeah, you already have the sheets which we have shared with you. Do you have it or?
Maybe one of them can put it on the screen. They can actually do the pivot also, so that others who don't know, they can also see it.
I'm putting it here also on the chat so that.
Very quick exercise, so 15 minutes should be more than enough, right?
Where is it at? Where's the Excel? Are you gonna give it to us or we have to create it?
No, it's given there.
Oh, okay. Is it in WhatsApp?
On the chat.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am, I have it.
So who is sharing this screen?
I shared my screen last time, guys.
Okay, so this time who is sharing? Suchana, Aarti, KPG, who will take the lead?
Yeah, people who are working on the laptop can take the
Yes,
lead.
yes, yes, because some of them are on tab. For them, it will be difficult. Who is on laptop?
Aarti, are you having a laptop?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you
Share it.
like to?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Let me just download that Excel first. Not able to.
Hi, Soumya. You are very quiet today, or giving time to others. You are on mute.
No, I'm just following and I'm not well also, so
Okay,
it's
okay,
just that.
okay, okay.
But I'm with you guys. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Get well.
Yeah.
Thank
Aarti, you have downloaded?
Yes, ma'am. I have downloaded. Just to share my screen. Entire screen. Yes. Can you share my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Aarti's Achar. Okay. You sharing the screen. Good.
Everybody can see it? Yes, it's visible now. Yeah. Scroll down.
So first, as a group, yeah. Yeah, Vilma, take over.
What is the question? First, enlarge the question set. What is the ask? Remove this chart. Just delete this chart. That yellow, orange, 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 blue. Which are the
Mm-hmm.
chart? Delete it. Delete
Yeah.
it.
And even the pivot, I think.
At the bottom, it's there. Just delete it.
Yeah. So that you can redo it again.
Also,
Yeah.
No. Undo.
undo?
Yeah.
No, paper is supposed to delete, no?
Acha.
We have to create it now.
So delete it. Perfect. Okay. Pull this question
Yeah.
above.
Just arrange a little bit.
Delete.
Yeah.
Okay. Enlarge the screen. Let's see everybody. What's the question?
What happened? What is the total number of employees? Is there? How many employees left overall? Which department has highest attrition? Which department has lowest attrition? What is the attrition rate by department? Then
First, create the pivot chart. Select the data. Top. This is the answer. This is the
this is the
answer.
answer.
So
Correct.
don't look at that. Only look at the question. Select your data. Go to pivot. Insert pivot. Yes.
New worksheet.
Worksheet. Yes. It will always open in a new worksheet. Now bring your questions from there and paste it here.
Questions are here. No.
No, in this, delete this. Delete this. Detail one. Delete this
Detail one, I'll need to delete. Okay.
because I had made it, na. So
Right. This also
this
I will
also
delete.
delete it. Yes.
Sorry.
This also delete. Delete. Yeah. Now
So
this is
start.
your new sheet, fresh, right? Now
Now
you
the questions I will. Sorry. This
descriptive analytics.
question. These are the questions, ma'am. I'll just
Pick
copy
the
it.
question.
Here.
Put it at the bottom. Put it somewhere at the bottom. Below the diagram. Below the diagram. Okay. Correct.
Yes.
Now go to the chart. Select all.
Select all. कहाँ आ रहा है?
Select all. Now you click all. Click the box inside. For all.
Average salary, attrition last year, this year, and then ऊपर भी कुछ छूट गया है मैम. Employees left,
Yes.
employees.
So you have the entire data.
Yeah.
Yeah. Click back. Okay. So you can see how many data? Only 3 data I can see. What happened? Yeah, now it is clear. Make it little small because I think something you are missing at the left. Yeah. Okay. So now you answer.
ठीक है मैम.
So, yeah, the first question, total number of employees.
This.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Write down.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How many employees left overall? So where is it? Overall employees.
64.
Good.
Which department has highest attrition? This is
Attrition.
20%, which is
Just,
customers.
Just enlarge.
Ma'am, you just did it. You just did this already.
Attrition, spread it because we can't see. Is it current year or previous year? Just
Okay.
stretch a bit because the.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Because your tables and labels should be very clearly written and
Got it, ma'am.
understood, right?
अब ठीक है.
ठीक है. Now they are asking which department has the highest
Is customer support.
support. Okay. Which department has lowest?
This year is technology.
Technology.
Technology, HR, and customer. I think
Yes.
finance
No, the
also.
lowest is technology, no?
नहीं.
No.
पांच.
There are 3 of them.
This
5.
year.
Yeah.
This year is 5. This is finance.
So 3 departments have lowest.
Finance is also lowest.
And finance, HR, and tech. What is attrition rate by department? By department.
Now create another sheet. Only department and attrition.
Another sheet.
Go back to your data analytics data set. Yeah. Select Department and attrition.
Where is the department and
Department and then attrition.
only? Okay. So I'll just copy it and go here. Sorry. And our
Attrition.
this here. No, but this is not in sequence, right?
You have to go to your original data sheet.
Original data, yeah.
This is the pivot sheet.
From here you select.
Yeah, sorry. Question this here.
Select. Go.
Sheet 2.
This.
Oh. Done.
Right attrition. Okay. So what is the attrition rate? You have given the attrition 15, 5, 20, 5, 5, 5. Okay.
Yeah, and what about the graph? 1 or 2?
Ma'am, what is attrition rate by department? What does that mean?
You tell me, what does it mean?
I
By
forgot.
department.
By
Huh?
department.
No. So it means that overall attrition is one number. But for every department, what is the attrition?
Department wise. By means department wise.
Yeah.
Okay, department wise.
So department wise you have given. This is the attrition rate. Highest customer support. And lowest is this you have given. Now what other information you can extract from here? Ask questions. This we gave you as an example. 4, 5 questions. What more questions you can ask? You can do by engagement.
Look at your data and see what.
Look at this data. See, engagement score is there. Manager rating is there. Vis-a-vis the attrition. Why the attrition?
So manager rating is also related with our employee left
Yes.
or the attrition.
Yes.
These 3 departments have similar kind of rating, manager rating, which is 4 and above.
So
In
can
the
I just give you a lead question here now? Now that you have done descriptive also, because the data is here. See, manager rating is here. You want to see, is there a correlation between manager rating and attrition this year? So you want to try that correlation? Is there a correlation? Is there a relationship existing between the manager rating and the attrition? So do a correlation.
Let them do the correlation part tomorrow. Because
Okay, fine. Absolutely. No worry.
Right
No
now,
worry.
it is just the information. You
Just
are only
looking at
gathering
data and looking at more things.
and
Okay.
trying to find out that what are the ratings lowest till the highest. Now we haven't gone to the Y part. When you go to the next Y part, then it becomes advanced analysis, right? This is simple descriptive analytics. So go to your sheet 2, where you have created the pivot chart. Just remain here. What do you see? Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Yeah. So just at the face value of the data, what do you see? Highest attrition was 20%. Look at the ratings of all the departments. Which has the poorest rating? Which has the poorest ratings?
Customer support.
Customer support. Attrition rate highest? Which department has the highest attrition rate?
Customer support.
Customer support. So at the face value, what do you see? The highest attrition rate and what all metrics you have used are overtime, manager rating, salary, engagement score. All these metrics have been on the lower side compared to the other departments of finance, HR, sales, and technology. So the highest attrition is in customer support because of these reasons. At the face value and logically, it seems to be that, but that needs to be further interrogated and find out why that has happened. So that we'll do in the next part. But at the face value, it looks that attrition is because of these things which
Ratings.
need to be resolved. And the second lowest is which? Second lowest goes to sales. Again, the same problem. Like, you see the manager rating is 3. So manager rating has been consistently poor or less than average for customer support and sales team. The overtime has been on the higher side for these two departments compared to the other departments which have less. Salary has also been on the lower side for customer support and sales. Attrition has been, that's why it has increased from 13 to 2%, and the people have also left is on the higher side, 30 and 18. So overall, 150 people out of 150 people and 120 in sales, 30 and 18, 48 people have left. Right? So now you need to look into why rating is less, why overtime is high, that means overload. Why salary is less? Do we really need to look into the market salary data and see if we are paying less? Right? So these are the next level questions that you will ask in the next, data analytics, which you do, which are more advanced. Right? So this
Can
is
I just add Vilma? Yeah, keep that date. So what Vilma is trying to say is that when I'm looking at data as is, this is what I can see. Now I'm assuming this can happen, but then assumption is not a fact. So I have to do correlation and other analysis so that I know for sure that there exists a relationship between why this, attrition very high, and is it correlated with other factors, and which are the other factors which have the highest correlation. Got it? Yeah. Any questions, guys? Or was it too?
Ma'am, no questions, but I just wanted to check if my data is fine. Like the tool that you showed through
I
data.
can help you with it now. This is your screen, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Go
Okay,
to
go
file.
to file. Go to file. All right. Now go to options.
Bottom, more.
More. Click on more, you'll get more
Option.
options. Now go to add-ins. Now analysis tool pack, which is also colored there.
Inactive
And then,
application add-ins.
yeah.
Yeah, it's here.
Sometimes what happens if you don't add their Excel add-ins,
It's not
it
active.
doesn't.
How
So
about
just
this
go.
one, ma'am?
No, not VBA.
That is
Excel
good.
analysis tool pack.
That's it.
Okay.
Should I?
Do
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Click on okay.
कर दिया मैम
नहीं
did
दिख
okay.
हाँ. Go to
Done.
data.
Okay. Now nothing is showing. Go to data then.
Refresh it. Go to home, then come back to data. Go to home, come back to data.
Yeah, because another thing is running, right? Click on that and it will come.
नहीं
This-
आया.
नहीं आ रहा है मेरा.
नहीं आया.
No, not data model at all.
No.
I'll
Don't
tell
do all
you.
those things. No.
Do one more, once again. Just do it once again. And then I'll tell
Refresh
you I know
करूँ
where.
refresh करूँ मैम.
Refresh it.
Refresh.
Do it in a fresh sheet.
Do it in a fresh sheet. Too many things are running
Don't
on
do
that.
this select. You have selected. Don't remove selection and all everything. Huh? Go to a fresh sheet.
Fresh sheet, okay.
Go to file. Go to more. Option. Go to add-in. Analysis tool pack. Go here. Go. Don't go here. Manage.
If you go down,
manage,
and then Excel add-ins.
go here.
नहीं दिख रहा है यहाँ पर.
Manage. नहीं ठीक है. You have clicked analysis tool pack. Fine. Now go bottom. You'll see manage Excel add-in. Go.
Nothing is there, ma'am.
It's there, of course. It's
Yeah,
there.
Auntie, I
go,
can.
go.
Click.
Manage
No, no.
Excel items. Yeah, go.
Go click that. Click now. Okay. Now you get it. Now click that box. Click. Oh,
Ah,
again do it.
okay, I'll do it once again. One second. Let me do it.
Uh,
Option, then add-ins, then
Tool analysis.
then this
Go. Because see, right now it is inactive. So you have to check the box. Check the
Hmm.
box.
all four.
No. Only one what is asked for. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You got the data analysis. Can you see that?
yeah, no,
Click that.
you
Yeah.
got it.
Click that.
Yeah, I can see data analysis.
Yeah.
No.
Kahan hai?
I can see that data analysis toolback.
Last corner box. Last.
Ah, yes. Got it.
Got it? So this is how you have
Now
to.
I can see
You have to
correlation.
first, get into your Excel. You have to. It was inactive at that time. You have to activate it to get it. Okay. Then only you will get this data analysis.
Thank you, ma'am.
Then if you want to do descriptive statistics, then go to descriptive statistics, then say okay.
Okay.
You did a great job, Artie.
Channel understood? Understood?
Yes.
Everybody has the data analysis toolpack on their Excel sheet.